The Detroit Lions have made it their mission this offseason to find every possible way to strengthen their already formidable roster, and while a majority of the attention has gone to high-profile names and draft buzz, there are always quieter, more strategic moves happening behind the scenes that can end up defining a season. One name that has started surfacing in some circles is Donovan Jackson, the powerful and athletic offensive guard out of Ohio State. While there hasn't been an official announcement or concrete reporting yet, multiple whispers suggest that Jackson could very well be a player the Lions are eyeing closely, and there's even speculation that preliminary negotiations could be underway. Given the Lions' clear intent to dominate the trenches on both sides of the ball, it would make perfect sense for them to quietly line up a potential addition like Jackson, who fits almost perfectly into the blueprint they've been building under Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. Donovan Jackson is the kind of player who, when you start looking past the obvious first-wave free agents and top draft picks, immediately jumps out as a hidden gem. He checks every box the Lions would likely be looking for: size, athleticism, experience against top-level competition, and perhaps most importantly, the mentality of a grinder. At 6 feet 4 inches and 320 pounds, he has the ideal build for the interior offensive line, but he's not just a space eater. Jackson moves with a quickness and fluidity that you don't often see in players his size. He's explosive off the snap, capable of pulling across the line or climbing to the second level with ease, and his ability to mirror defenders in pass protection is remarkably advanced. He spent his college career at Ohio State, a program known for producing NFL-ready linemen, and held his own against some of the best defensive fronts college football had to offer. That background alone should make him highly attractive to any NFL team, but when you add in the Lions' specific needs and philosophy, the fit seems almost too good to ignore. What's particularly intriguing about the possibility of Jackson joining Detroit is how he could impact both the present and the future of the offensive line. The Lions have a strong starting five when fully healthy, but injuries and free agency have a way of testing depth over the course of a long NFL season. Donovan Jackson could come in and immediately push for playing time, providing valuable insurance and competition at both guard spots. With his versatility, there's even a world where Jackson could cross-train at center, offering even more roster flexibility, something that Brad Holmes has consistently valued when evaluating players. But beyond the X's and O's, Jackson fits the kind of cultural mold that Dan Campbell and his staff seem obsessed with building. He's not flashy, he's not loud, but he's tough, disciplined, and committed to doing the hard work that doesn't always show up in the box score. There's also the timing factor to consider. The Lions have been extremely methodical this offseason, showing a clear willingness to wait for the right players at the right price rather than overspending or forcing moves that don't align with their long-term vision. If there are indeed quiet negotiations happening with Jackson, it would fit that pattern perfectly. Bringing in a young, moldable offensive lineman without the massive price tag of a veteran star allows the Lions to continue reinforcing their strongest unit without sacrificing cap flexibility or draft capital. It's the kind of smart, under-the-radar move that championship teams make while everyone else is distracted by bigger headlines. Furthermore, from Jackson's perspective, landing with a team like Detroit could be ideal. He would get to develop under one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, Hank Fraley, while learning from established veterans like Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker. It's the kind of environment that could allow a player like Jackson to not just survive at the NFL level, but thrive. If you start connecting the dots, it's not hard to imagine how mutual interest could have formed. Jackson's camp would surely recognize the opportunity available in Detroit, a team on a rise, a locker room full of high-character players, a coaching staff that values physicality and fundamentals, and a fan base that deeply appreciates tough blue-collar football. At the same time, the Lions would undoubtedly see the value in adding a player who can grow with their core, someone who could be a foundational piece for years to come, especially as contracts come up and roster turnover inevitably happens. Offensive line depth is one of those things you can never have enough of, no matter how good your starters are, and if the Lions want to ensure they're built to withstand the grind of a full season and a playoff run, adding someone like Donovan Jackson would be a no-brainer. It's worth mentioning, too, that Jackson has always been known for his leadership qualities and work ethic, dating back to his high school days when he was a highly touted recruit. At Ohio State, he consistently earned praise from coaches and teammates alike for his professionalism, his willingness to accept coaching, and his quiet but firm leadership style. In a locker room like Detroit's, where ego takes a back seat to team success, that kind of personality would be a seamless fit. You could easily picture Jackson coming in, putting his head down, learning the system, and gradually earning the respect of everyone around him, not through words, but through consistent, high-level performance and effort. That's the kind of player who not only helps you win games, but strengthens the fabric of the entire organization. From a schematic perspective, Donovan Jackson's skills set matches beautifully with the kind of offensive system the Lions are running. Ben Johnson's offense asks a lot of its offensive linemen. They need to be mobile enough to execute wide zone runs, powerful enough to handle gap scheme blocks, and technically sound in pass protection against increasingly complex NFL defenses. Jackson's athletic profile suggests he could thrive in this system, particularly because of his quickness and lateral agility. He would be an asset pulling in the run game, leading outside runs, and setting the edge for the dynamic backfield the Lions have assembled. His pass blocking technique, already solid, would only get sharper under the coaching he would receive in Detroit, turning him into a potential long-term starter with Pro Bowl upside. There's also the bigger picture view of roster building that Brad Holmes has demonstrated since arriving in Detroit. He understands that to sustain success in the NFL, you can't just build for today. You have to think 2 and 3 years down the road. Adding Donovan Jackson would be a textbook example of that philosophy. Even if he doesn't immediately claim a starting job, he would be developing within the Lions system, ready to step in when injuries strike or when current starters move on. Detroit has some key contract decisions looming on the offensive line over the next few seasons, and having a young, cost-controlled player like Jackson in the pipeline would give them tremendous flexibility to manage those transitions without significant drop-off in performance. Ultimately, while Donovan Jackson might not be the name dominating headlines right now, the possibility of him landing with the Lions feels like one of those moves that could quietly set the team up for long-term success. He embodies so much of what Detroit values: toughness, athleticism, intelligence, and a relentless drive to improve. If the Lions do pull the trigger and bring Jackson into the fold, it could end up being one of the smartest and most impactful decisions they make this offseason. In a league where the margins between winning and losing are razor-thin, investing in the trenches is never a bad idea, and Donovan Jackson could be the next crucial piece in Detroit's quest to finally bring a Lombardi trophy home.